Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students. You are watching a video for the subject of education for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Conceptual Foundations of Education. We are going to discuss the philosophical basis of education. And in this lecture, we will be discussing the educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. This video has been recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer for this video is Dr. Savita Kaushal from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayamprabha channels of MHRD, or at present known as Ministry of Education of Government of India. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at IASE Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to start a discussion on philosophical basis of education, and in this lecture we will be discussing the educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. So let us start the discussion first with the objectives of the session. So the objectives of this session are to discuss the life history of Mahatma Gandhi, to explain the various educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi in terms of his philosophy of education, and to elaborate the significance of the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi with respect to education in our country. So let us start our discussion with a brief life sketch of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. This was the birth name of Gandhiji. He was born on 2nd October 1869 at Porbandar, Kathiawar, Gujarat. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, was the Diwan of Rajkot, and his mother, Putlibai, was a very courteous and kind-hearted lady. Gandhiji got married with Kasturba at the age of 13 years. He passed the matriculation examination as an ordinary student, and at the same year he was sent to England by sea voyage, and this was for making him study law, and in England he spent 3 years and 9 months as a student of law. On 10th June 1891, Gandhiji passed the law examination and he returned back to India as a barrister. He practiced law for some time, but he did not do well, or you can say that he was not finding it interesting. In 1893, Gandhiji went to South Africa as a legal advisor, where he resisted for 20 years and basically the inhuman treatment of the British government against the Indian subjects in non-violent way. So basically he spent the years at South Africa, which made the kind of personality in him which was reflected later in his life. So after his return from South Africa in 1915, he started a non-violent struggle against the British rule in India. In the year 1917, Gandhiji established Sabarmati Ashram at Ahmedabad. And the reason behind the establishment of this ashram was propagating the Harijan upliftment, and then also giving emphasis to village industries, then other social reforms, and launching creative programs for national upliftment. After this, in the year 1921, Gandhiji launched his world famous non-violence civil disobedience movement, against the British government. Side by side, the Indian National Congress also passed a resolution for complete independence. At this point, the English government in India was forced to sign a pact which is known as the Gandhi-Irwin Pact to start negotiations for the independence of India. According to this pact, Gandhiji went to England to participate in the Round Table Conference, but nothing came out of that, and the British government in India continued its reign of terror in our country. In the year 1942, Gandhiji was arrested and sent to jail. On his release from jail, he gave a call of quit India to the British government. At this point of time, the struggle of independence flared up tremendously, and the whole country rose in revolt against the alien rule of the Britishers. So, first, the British government tried to crush the movement with a lot of cruelty and terror, but later on started negotiations for some agreement. And finally, on 15th August 1947, the British government left India and declared our country as an independent country. So we got independence. Soon the country was enveloped into the fire of communal riots, resulting in heavy loss of lives and properties. And this was due to the partition, which was also, you can say, the byproduct of the independence. The Britishers have given us the brunt of partition. Gandhiji tried his best to pacify and stop this terrible carnage. Enlarged by his efforts for communal peace and harmony, one fanatic whose name was Nathuram Godse shot this apostle of peace and non-violence to death on January 30th, 1948. The whole country and throughout the world his death was mourned, but the loss was made, so nobody was able to do anything. So in this way, we have seen that how Gandhiji took his leap from being a normal barrister, from then to becoming a kind of torchbearer of the independence movement in India. Now let us have a look on the philosophy of life of Mahatma Gandhi. His philosophy of life was based upon the philosophy of idealism. He believed in God implicitly, and he felt that though individuals have different bodies, yet the same soul pervades in all of us. This soul is a part of that bigger entity which we call as God. He also exclaimed that we can give different names to God. Maybe we can call him Rahim or Christ or any by any other name. But basically we are referring to that one God in which everybody is having faith. Gandhiji advocated that as the source of all the rays of the sun is the sun absolute and one whole. In the same way, though the persons are different and innumerable, yet the same soul actually is having in them all. So everybody is having the same soul. So in short, we can just mention that Gandhiji experienced and realized unity in diversity. His philosophy of life has four elements which are very important to understand. The first one is truth, then non-violence, fearlessness, and satyagrah. Let us just have a look at what exactly these terms mean. The first term, which is truth, is basically Gandhiji's aim of life. And if we see through the personality of Gandhiji, we can actually have a look in the life of Gandhiji, which was realized and which was actualized on the basis of truth. He firmly believed that the creation is mortal, only God is immortal. So, the ultimate aim of life should be to realize God, and he believed that truth is the only way to realize God. To Gandhiji, truth is the supreme principle. In it, other principles, which can be named as beauty and goodness, become embedded. For him, there is no difference between truth and God. According to Gandhiji, if somebody uses truth in his or her mind, words, and deeds and uses it together with ahimsa, sincerely and constantly, this person will be able to realize God someday. In this way, according to him, truth does not mean truthfulness of words or speech only, but its field, or basically uh, using, or you can say that practicing truth is very important. So this principle of truth should be employed in all fields of life, and that is why we can say that Gandhiji devoted all his life in search of truth. Now the second principle, which is non-violence, non-violence or ahimsa, and you can say that this is the another tenet of Gandhiji's philosophy of life. Gandhiji was of a very firm belief that devotion to truth can only be practiced through devotion and strict adherence to ahimsa. To him, truth and ahimsa are the two sides of the same coin, and we cannot think of one without thinking of the other. So one cannot exist without the other. Gandhiji has insisted that the supreme aim of life is to realize God, and the only effective way to realize God is to practice ahimsa by thoughts, by words, and by our deeds. So Gandhiji has also explained the meaning of ahimsa in his own words. So I'm quoting his words. Ahimsa is complete absence of ill will against all that lives or all that lives. In its dynamic condition, it means conscious suffering. Nonviolence is, in its active form, goodwill towards all life. It is pure love. Quotes close. So you can see that how much he felt regarding ahimsa and how he has engrossed in this feeling of non-violence or ahimsa. Then the next uh, way of life or the element of the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi is fearlessness. Gandhiji's ahimsa was not negative tendency. Basically, few of us may think of that by ahimsa he is trying to be defensive, but no. Basically, ahimsa is a positive capacity which included two other attributes, which are fearlessness and satyagrah, which can be individually mentioned as the elements of his philosophy. But ahimsa is an amalgamation of these two. So we can say that fearlessness is the third element in Gandhiji's philosophy, where he emphasized that without fearlessness, it is practically impossible to practice truth and ahimsa. A coward person cannot adhere to the principles of truth and ahimsa. And explaining his concept of fearlessness, he himself has written under quotes, fearlessness can not cannot freedom from all. Fearlessness basically connotes freedom from all external fear, fear of disease, bodily injury, and death, or dispossessions of losing one's nearest and dearest, of losing reputation or giving offense, and so on. Quotes close. So you can just analyze these words and you will be in a position to make out that what exactly he meant by fearlessness. He said that fearlessness connotes freedom from all external fear, fear of disease, bodily injury, and death, or dispossessions of losing one's nearest and dearest, of losing reputation or giving offense, and so on. So actually he meant that by the fearlessness that nothing is something which is going to take you away from practicing the truth or ahimsa. So he was having this point in his mind that everybody should be fearless, and this fearlessness can be achieved only if we uh, don't will are willing to actually satisfy any of uh, our senses or any of our relationships. We are having no fear for losing anything. So this was the thought process in terms of fearlessness, which was actualized by Gandhiji. Then regarding Satyagraha, which is the fourth element of his philosophy of life, Gandhiji explained Satyagraha as hold fast to death, holding fast till death. So this principle is based on truth and love, where the opponent is not giving any pain or mental or physical sort of pain, but this person is made rather persuaded to accept truth by the effect of one's own experiencing pain or loss. So here, no, the person who is demanding something is not actually making any kind of harm to that person from whom the demand is made, but actually by accepting the pain and the loss himself or herself, this person is willing to get the things done. So basically, he believed in satyagraha, and satyagraha till death was something which was which was very much um, you can say given importance by Gandhiji. It is to achieve change of heart by self-suffering of the adherence of truth and non-violence. And in his own words, under quotes, so the doctrine came to mean vindication of truth, not by infliction of suffering on the opponent, but on one's self. Quotes close. So you can see that in his own words, how emotively he is mentioning about that we are asking something from somebody and we are not going to make any harm to the fellow to whom we are making the demand, but we are going to actually uh, feel the pain on our own self, and in that way we will be demanding anything which we want to have in our lives. So this was Satyagraha, which was the element, which was a very important element of the philosophy of life of Mahatma Gandhi. So after having a look on the philosophy of life, let us just have a look on the philosophy of education of Gandhiji. Most of the time, we regard Gandhiji as a great politician, but the fact is that he valued social reform and development more than mere political growth and advancement. And Gandhiji actually meant that in an evil society, no concept of any good rule is possible. So, as such, he advocated social revolution and reform to go hand in hand with the political revolution. And for doing this, the main role to be played was of education. Gandhiji's basic education was the practical embodiment of his philosophy of education, where we have seen that the main aim of this basic education was to purify the heart and mind of all people and create a society which is free from all exploitation and aggression. And viewed in the light, Gandhiji was a great educationist also. After seeing the basic education policy or basic education scheme, it's not a policy, it's basically a scheme, which is actually advocated by Gandhiji. We can make out that how he felt and how he thought about education. Dr. M.S. Patel has remarked on Gandhiji in terms of his educational philosophy. He has quoted, Green remarked that pastology was the starting point of modern educational theory and practice. This may be true so far as Western education is concerned. An impartial study of Gandhiji's educational teachings will reveal that he is the starting point of modern educational theory and practice of the East. Quotes close. So you can see that how strong these words are, where it is being accepted that in the East, Gandhiji's educational thoughts and the theories and all those practices which he advocated became the starting point of modern educational theories as well as the practices. Let us just have a look on the basic principles of educational philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. So there are few of those principles which are to be discussed whenever we are going to discuss the educational philosophy of Gandhiji. The first point which is to be mentioned here is that from 7 to 14 years of age, education of each child should be free, compulsory and universal. So this was the first basic principle of his philosophy. The second one is the medium of instruction should be mother tongue. And we should all know that this is something which is advocated in all the policies which followed the scheme of basic education, which was propagated by Mahatma Gandhi, where the mother tongue education is given a lot of emphasis. Even we have seen here in the new education policy which we have got in year 2020, this mother tongue education has been given immense importance. Now, the next basic principle, it says that there should be no place for English in the education of a child, which is somehow a little bit of controversial, but basically this was the thought process of Gandhiji, because he at that moment when he was making his educational philosophy and the schemes, the Britishers were in power, and there was a very uh, obvious phenomenon of following whatever they were giving. So that's why maybe Gandhiji would have advocated that there should be no place of English in the education of a child. And the next one is that mere literacy cannot be equated with education. Then education should develop human values in the child. Gandhiji believed a lot in the inculcation of values and the value system. So he accorded this responsibility to education, the inculcation of values. Then the next is education should develop all the powers of child according to the community of which he is an integral part. So you can see that how important he has given the role of a community in the development of a child. So wherever or uh, in whatever community this child is basically growing up, the education should be helpful in developing the powers of this child in coherence with the community of which he is an integral part. Then the next basic principle is of education should achieve the harmonious development of child's body, mind, heart, and soul. So basically, he believed in the overall development. He believed in the development which is holistic in nature. Then the next one is that education should employ some craft as a medium of education so that the child gains economic self-reliance for the forthcoming life. So he emphasized the craft-based education a lot. Then the next one is that all education should be imparted through some productive craft or industry, and a useful correlation should be established with the industry. Basically, this industry is going to make this child very much self-reliant, and the livelihood also can be earned by this craft and the industry work. Then the next one is that education of all subjects should be imparted through some local craft or productive work. Then the industry should be such that the child is able to achieve the gainful work experience through practical work. So he believed in practical work a lot. So wherever there is theory, there should be practical. So according to him, there should not be only the imparting of theoretical knowledge, or only the education which is theoretical in nature is not going to help the child. But whenever we make the theory along with the practical knowledge, then only the child is going to get something which will be helpful in spending his or her life ahead. Then education should be made self-supporting through some productive work. This is again something which is related to the vocationalization of education. Then education should lead to economic independence and self-reliance for livelihood. So education should take the child towards economic independence and self-reliance for earning his or her own livelihood. Then school should be a place of activity where the child gets busy in various experiments, and actually this child experiences every day some sort of new experiences and some sort of new researches which makes the experiences richer and richer with every passing day, and then only this child will be in a position to lead a very kind of good life in future. Then education should create useful, responsible, and dynamic citizen. So these are those basic principles which Gandhiji actually wanted to be there whenever the philosophy of education, which was suggested by him, was talked about. Now let us have a look on the meaning of education, which was accorded by Gandhiji. He exclaimed, he quoted that literacy is neither the beginning nor the end of education. This is only a means through which man or woman can be educated. Quotes close. So basically, he believed that education should develop all the capacities of the child so that this child becomes a complete human being. Complete human being means that full development or complete or holistic development of body, mind, heart, and soul of the child. So, in this way, he basically advocated that education should develop the child's individuality fully and harmoniously so that this child is able to realize the ultimate aim of life, which is truth or God. And he himself has explained education in his own words, under quotes: by education I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child's and man's body, mind, and spirit. Quotes close. So you can see that what exactly he meant by education. He has given an ultimate aim of educating the child and getting the best out of his body, his or her body, mind, and spirit. So he believed in harmonious and holistic development of the child with the process of educating him or her. So now let us see the aims of Gandhian education. And let us just have a look with a very keen eye that what exactly he meant by the aims of education. Basically, according to him, there are two types of aims of education. The first one is the immediate aims of education, which are concerned with our daily life or day to day life. And then there are ultimate aims of education. So, under the immediate aims of education, he considered some of those types, some of those parts which can be discussed and which can be very much important for the day-to-day life of a human being. So the first one is the vocational aim. We can also consider it the bread and butter aim of education. So education must aim at enabling every individual to earn his or her own livelihood. It must enable the person to stand on his or her own feet. Education should be a kind of insurance against unemployment. So basically, education, uh, if we receive education, it should be of that sort which is going to make us employed or employable in future. Then the next one is the cultural aim. Actually, this cultural aim, we can say that it lays a lot of emphasis on the obtainment of Indian culture because Gandhiji believed a lot in the Indian culture. The culture that is reflected in our dress, our manner of speech, our way of conduct and behavior, and every sort of walk of life which we reflect. Actually, it is the reflection of our own cultures, and it should be very much related to the Indianization of our culture. So, basically, it enables a person to see things in true perspective. Whenever we imitate somebody, we actually don't believe in ourselves. We are going uh, to take somebody else's behaviors, his cultures, and we are actually forgetting ours. So that's why Gandhiji believed a lot in following our own culture. That's why he said that Swadeshi should be the way of life. Then the next aim, the immediate aim, is the character aim. Gandhiji regarded character as the expression of the whole personality, including its ethical and spiritual aspects. According to Gandhiji, education without character and character devoid of purity would be of no use, would be of no good. So this is something which reflects that how important he meant, how important he felt that character is for the life of a human being. The next immediate aim is the perfect development aim. Perfect development means that all round development of the child. And we have seen that he is talking about the all round development of the child's body, mind, heart, and soul. So basically, he talked a lot about the holistic development. So, by perfect development aim, it means the development of head, heart, and hand, nothing less and nothing more. So, all should be developed in a very balanced and a very kind of paused or proper way. So, these are the immediate aims of education. Then comes the ultimate aim of education. By this ultimate aim of education, Gandhiji is talking about self realization. Basically, he says that self-realization is ultimate aim of life as well as of education. So, spiritual freedom provides knowledge of God and self-realization. And that is why education should provide spiritual freedom. This spiritual freedom actually leads a human being towards gaining the self-realization. In a few of those words, um, which are talking about uh, this ultimate aim, we can also see the self actualization aim of Abraham Maslow, who has kept the self actualization aim at the apex of his need theory. So in the same way, according to Gandhiji, self-realization is considered to be the ultimate aim of a human being's life. So these were the aims of the Gandhian education or the education system which Gandhiji was willing to establish, and he actually worked on it throughout his life. So we have already talked about the ultimate aim of education. According to Gandhiji, the ultimate aim of education is to realize God. All other aims are subservient to this supreme aim. It is the same aim of self realization which is coming down since the very early times of Indian wisdom, and which actually constitute the essence of Indian philosophy. He wishes that every child should grow into a divine human being by realizing godliness in himself or herself. Gandhiji has exclaimed in his own words, to develop the self is to build character and to prepare the self for complete realization and realization of godliness. Quotes close. So this is something which was so powerfully exclaimed by him when he talked about the actualization of the ultimate aim of education for the life of a human being. Let us see the curriculum suggested by Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi suggested a scheme of education where he mentioned a lot of things, lots and lots of components to be the part of this scheme of education. So the first point here, which needs mention, is the basic craft. He actually asserted that education should be craft centered, basic craft, which may be agriculture, spinning, weaving, woodwork, or carpentry, or any sort of uh, basic craft should be included in accordance with the local conditions of life and society. The next point here, which he asserted as the part of the curriculum, should be the part of the curriculum, is mother tongue. Mother tongue to be studied as it is an effective instrument for the expression and communication of ideas. So he said that mother tongue is something which is to be made the integral part of the education system, then only the exponential growth of this child can be taken place. Then the next part, which he mentions to be kept in the curriculum, is arithmetic. Arithmetic should be correlated with the life situation. It is very useful subject for day-to-day life. So according to him, if somebody is studying arithmetic or mathematics, then the life processes will become easier. So that's why it should be made the part of the curriculum. The next one is social studies. So it includes many subjects like history, geography, civics, then current affairs and current events for promoting the individual and social virtues, the life which is the life events which are happening. Everybody should get awareness regarding that, and that can only be happening by the acquisition of knowledge of these social subjects or the social studies subjects. So he recommended them to be the part of the curriculum. Then the next one is the inclusion of general science. General science include the study of the nature, then botany, zoology, physiology, then general hygiene, chemistry, and even astronomy. According to him, these subjects should be taught for promoting intelligent and scientific outlook in the children. So domestic science should be added for the girls in the fourth and fifth grades. And at times we also call this domestic science as home science. And he recommended home science to be the part of the curriculum, and especially for girls, because they have to be taking up the charge of the homely affairs, and that's why it is very much important to learn the science behind the domestic issues, and also towards the taking care of the house and the family. The next thing which he wanted to make the part of the curriculum is music and drawing. So these subjects should be included. He recommended these subjects to be included to create boys and girls a real, basically some sort of real interest in education in these people by these sort of adding music and drawing, because these subjects are considered to be something which draw interest. So that's why he wanted these subjects to be the part of the curriculum, music and drawing. So after this, he also mentioned about the place of Hindustani, basically a national language, be included and taught in the school curriculum. And according to him, Hindustani, which can be said that is a language which is having Urdu words in it, Hindi words in it, and maybe those words which come from the vernacular system, and they combinedly can be considered as Hindustani. And he considered, Gandhiji considered that everybody should learn a language, and it should be made the part of the curriculum, so that in any state or in any part of the country, people can be in a position to communicate with each other. So these are few of those suggestions which were made by Mahatma Gandhi when he talked about the curriculum. Then just have a look on the role of teacher, which was suggested by Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhiji considered teachers one of the important elements of the education system. The duty of teacher is not only to provide knowledge of subjects, but also to build the moral character of the child. A teacher should be ideal to the students. And he also said that I think, under quotes, that I think that child learns more from teacher than books and problems. Quotes close. So teacher should not discriminate between students and should be student friendly. He asserted that only right type of teacher can help in achieving the objectives of education. He should possess knowledge, skill, enthusiasm, patriotism, strong character, and special training. He should be a friend, he or she should be a friend, philosopher, and guide for a student. This teacher should be inspired with the social attitudes and ideals of ahimsa and truth. The teacher should be well equipped and fully alive to the objectives of life and education, and must possess the virtue that he or she wants to inculcate in the students. This teacher must practice the virtues in himself or herself first. Then only he will be in a position to impart all these virtues to, or transfer the virtues to the students. This teacher should be able to establish a heart-to-heart contact with the students. So basically, he believed that the teacher and student relationship should be so well that there should not be anything which is confining or which is making a limitation um, between these two people in terms of educating them. Let us have a look on the methods of teaching which were recommended by Gandhiji. His aims of education were different from those which were prevalent during the days when he was spending his life. He said that current education was subject centered. At his time, the education was subject centered. So Gandhiji disapproved that educational method, considering as defective, and emphasized to make crafts and vocations as means of education. He wished that some local craft should be made as the medium of education for children so that they develop their body, mind, and soul in a harmonious way, and also meet the ends and needs of their future life. Basically, they can earn their breads by this vocation which they have learned as a medium of instruction. So in this way, uh, he recommended few of those methods of teaching, and which are very important to be discussed here. A few of those are going to be discussed, which are um, which are emphasizing the different principles of the methods of teaching which Gandhiji recommended. The first one here is to achieve mental development, training of senses and parts of the body should be given. So basically, he says that to achieve the mental development, training of sense organs, training of different senses and parts of the body should be essentially given to the children. The next one is reading should precede the teaching of writing. So first reading and then it should follow the teaching of writing. Then he said that before teaching of alphabets, art training should be given. Then the next one is that more opportunities should be given for learning by doing. Then the next one is that encouragement should be given to learning by experience. And then he said that correlation should be established in the teaching methods and learning experiences. So these are those basic principles which were talked by him, which were recommended by Gandhiji in terms of the methods of teaching. In addition, he has also emphasized the need of co-curricular activities, planning, realistic experiences, initiative, and sense of individual responsibility to be associated with the self-centered teaching methods. So these are few of those things which were related to the methods of teaching which were suggested and recommended by Gandhiji. What exactly is the role of discipline which was addressed by Mahatma Gandhi? Mahatma Gandhi advocated discipline through self-control. He emphasized voluntary discipline or discipline that springs from within. Self-discipline arises from a pure life of self-restraint, fearlessness, usefulness, and self-sacrifice. It may be achieved through non-violent conduct of life. So this is something which is related to discipline, which was thought by Mahatma Gandhi in terms of discipline. If we try to make an evaluation of Gandhiji's philosophy of education, we can just come to some sort of points, just have a discussion on this. So Gandhiji's contribution to education is uh, numerous. Basically, it can't be expressed in few words, and it is also unique in nature. He was the first Indian who advocated a scheme of education based upon the essential values of Indian culture and civilization. The methods and techniques advocated by Gandhiji and the environment he prescribed basically revolutionized Indian thinking and way of living. At heart, he was a devout idealist and he was very much devoted to idealism. He wanted to translate his ideas and values into practice. His philosophy of education is a harmonious blend of idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism. It may be noted that there is no inherent conflict between these three philosophies. And we have even seen in few other thinkers that idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism was taken up together by them. Like we have seen in the philosophy of Swami Vivekananda, that idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism, all the three were the part of his philosophy also. So it can be noted that there is no inherent conflict between these three philosophies. They are contributory to one another. Idealism is the base of Gandhiji's philosophy, whereas naturalism and pragmatism are the helpers in translating that philosophy into practice. So Gandhiji advocated the ideals of truth, non-violence, and moral values to achieve the ultimate truth of self-realization. He is a devotee of naturalism when he speaks about the development of the child according to his nature, and he becomes a pragmatist when he advocates learning by doing and learning by experiences, when he talks about enhancing the experiences of the child in order to educate him or her. So we can see the pragmatist side of Gandhiji's personality by this advocation of learning by doing and learning by experiences. So all these lead to an integration so essential to effective education and development of the total personality. So he actually said that if all these philosophies, the philosophy of idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism, all together conjointly in combination can make the holistic development of the very effective development of the personality of a human being. To understand the philosophy of education and the thought process of Mahatma Gandhi's educational theories and his systems, if we go ahead and see the different literary work done by him, we can be gaining a lot of understanding related to his philosophy of education and philosophy of life. He was a prolific writer. One of his earliest publications, which was Hind Swaraj, it was published in Gujarati in the year 1909. It became the intellectual blueprint for India's independence movement. For decades, he edited several newspapers and magazines, including Harijan, Indian Opinion, Young India, and Navjivan was a Gujarati monthly. And later, Navjivan was also published in Hindi. In addition, he wrote letters almost every day to individuals and to different newspapers. Gandhiji also wrote several books, including his autobiography, which is very popular, and it's titled as The Story of My Experiments with Truth. His other biographies or autobiographies include Satyagrah in South Africa. This is about his struggle in South Africa. He also wrote extensively on vegetarianism, diet and health, religion, social reforms, and many more other topics. Gandhiji usually wrote in Gujarati, which was his mother tongue, although he also revised the Hindi and English uh, translations which were made by different people for his books. So he used to review those translations which were made of his writings in Hindi and English. Gandhiji's complete works were published by the Indian government under the name The Collected Works of Mahatma Gandhi in the year 1960. Basically, in 1960s, in the decade of 1960s, this collected works were published. and these were basically having the 50,000 pages. The work was having 50,000 pages, which were published in about 100 volumes. And this work was revised, and it was republished afterwards also. So Mahatma Gandhi, now we have seen his life, a lot of events related to his life, and we have now come to a point where we can make out that he was a great thinker, social reformer, and educationist of the modern India. His philosophy of education is based on truth, non-violence, and satyagraha. His popular definition on education, which is that by education I mean an all-round drawing out of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit, which basically signifies the total development of human personality, like physical, mental, social, and spiritual development. According to him, the values like truth, non-violence, satyagraha, fearlessness, then sacrifice, faith, humanity, and many more others are the basis of uh, a person's life. His concept of basic education, craft-centered education, moral and value-based education has great impact on the present education systems. And we have seen that in all the policies, a lot of influence of Gandhiji's basic education scheme as well his thought process have been reflected till date. Even in the policy which we just have received in the year 2020, we are seeing that a lot of philosophical thoughts of Gandhiji can be seen there. So this is something which makes him a person who can be taken up as the social reformer and the very important educationist of modern India. So with these words, now let us just have a sum up what exactly we have studied about Gandhiji's philosophy. We have seen that Gandhiji firmly believed in God. To achieve God, social service is essential, and there are four elements of philosophy of life. He considered that these elements are truth, ahimsa, fearlessness, and satyagraha. His philosophy of education basically uh, has the component which said that embodiment of basic scheme of education is to be taken care of whenever we talk about the education of children in our country. And the meaning of education according to him was the full development of body, mind, and soul of a child. According to him, the aims of education can be categorized into two different categories. The first one is the immediate aim, and the second one is the ultimate aim. According to him, immediate aim can be the vocationalization aim or earning the bread and butter. Then the cultural aim, uh, also the development of morals and the character development, uh, and then the perfect development aim can be considered as the immediate aims. Then the ultimate aim actually is to get a point in our life where we have the self-realization. So this is considered the self-realization, achieving self-realization is considered by Gandhiji as the ultimate aim of education. According to him, the curriculum should be activity based and it should be craft based. Then the methods of teaching should be having learning by doing, learning by experiences, then correlation of different subjects which are going to make the life of the child very much effective, and the harmonious development of this child's life should be ensured by the methods of teaching. And then he also mentioned about a harmonious blending of idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism. Whenever he talked about the uh, the education system, he wanted that there should be some sort of idealism, naturalism, and pragmatism amalgamated into the development of the educational system in our country. So these are the words in which we can talk about the philosophy of or educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. These are some of those books and readings which I considered while developing this lecture, and you can also go ahead and see through these books. You can also go ahead and see the different links which are given here for knowing more about Gandhiji and his philosophy, his ideals of life. So with these words, I'll take leave from you all and let us see each other in another session some other time. Thank you so much. Dear students, you were watching a video on philosophical basis of education, and in this lecture, the educational ideas of Mahatma Gandhi were discussed. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.